Hey everyone, welcome to another conversation over drinks. I'm Coach Wolverine.
Coach Kelowna.
And today, the topic that we have for you is when personal development practices end up becoming a crutch, when it's just too much. I know I've been bad for this. Horrible for this in the past, actually.
I go in waves, I guess.
Okay.
Like I'll be so locked in 24 hours a day, and then all of a sudden I'm like, haven't checked in with my friends, haven't done all this other stuff. So I think the biggest thing that we need to talk about is like we've talked a ton about developing positive routines and doing these things. I know one example that I like to use is like with the journal entries, right? Like have to do my journal entry before bed, have to. If something comes up and it's important, whether it's an important person, important event, important something like that, you can put a note somewhere else or you can just do it in the morning. You don't want to make a habit of it, but like don't give up experiencing things or doing other things that benefit you just to stick to your quote unquote personal growth plan.
Or using the lack of a practice as a justification for acting a certain way. So like biting someone's head off and saying that, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't meditate today.
Yeah.
Like that. And I say this sarcastically, but I have been witness to this. I have not used this excuse for myself. What I have done is perpetually reach and grasp for more and more things to do to distract myself from actually doing the work of personal development and exploration, because I feel like the more books I read or the more audiobooks are a big thing for me, or the more podcasts I listen to, I think that my brain will just click and figure things out without actually putting the practice in. Yeah. And I will be the first to admit that I'm really bad for this. And I have been really bad for this. I'm working on it, but it has not been, it's been a struggle. It's been a struggle.
So, like I would look at that, like if I was to have a conversation with you about this in particular, it's like when you start off coaching someone new who's never done, whether it's fitness, especially like the clients I work with, like, okay, so they've never really been consistent in the gym. They've never done a journal entry of any kind, and they've never really paid attention to their nutrition really at all. Mm-hmm. So, like for instance, what I have them do is on the first week, all they do is just cardio and core, just to like show up. Yeah. So we start establishing a routine without them having to worry about all these little things. Mm-hmm. And then the journal entry is, like we've talked about before, it's a gratitude list in the morning and a gratitude list in the evening. Because that total takes up 5 minutes. And that's it. That's week one. Yep. Right? Like it's as much as we think that we can take on, we're like, well, I've been doing personal development for so long, I can do 10 things at a time. We know we can't. No. And we know we can't focus on those. So if we're going to turn around and like coach our clients at the basics of one max at the absolute max, 5 things to focus on in a week. And that's a stretch. Mm-hmm. Right? It should be closer to that 1 to 3. So, like, if I was to have that conversation with you, it's like, okay, then we need to just narrow it down to the 3 things that you need to work on the most as far as your practices go. Yep. And once you become, in your terms, more of a master at it, where it doesn't feel like it's even has to be thought about, then we shift your focus.
So, what do you think happens then when we start to identify with certain things that are good for us? Like, for example, the gym. When we identify with the gym and then we use the excuse of like, sorry, I'm grumpy today, I didn't get my workout in, right? We're using that as a crutch purely because we missed off on one of our, our Zen moments or our grounding moments, and then using that as an excuse to be not a very nice person.
Yeah, so I would look at that as, did I not get to go to the gym because I was doing something important or something that like was also fulfilling in some way? Because if that's the case, then I just need to stop being like, oh, I missed the gym. It's like, no, I didn't go to the gym today because I was taking care of something that's more important. So as long as you keep it in that positive like mind frame and you're looking at it positively, then it doesn't have that negative connotation. Oh, I'm grumpy because I missed the gym. But when you start identifying with the gym, I think that identity in itself, we've discussed it like in length on another one, is needs to be shifted, because the gym's not your identity. Fitness might be, or being healthy or taking care of your body might be, but you want to frame it as, I got to go to the gym. But it's like, okay, well, I can't make it to the gym today. My car broke down. You can go for a run. You can do push-ups. You can do something. So if your identity is more centered around moving your body and doing an activity, again, it's a positive idea. Like, find a solution instead of an excuse. Then we don't run into that, oh, I didn't get my morning meditation in because whatever, right? We all have off days, don't get me wrong, but we can't lean on something that if we do it every day and we're leaning on it because we missed it, to, like you said, basically just be not the best version of ourselves. It's literally just an excuse instead of finding a solution, right?
Well, and I think there's another aspect to that too, it's okay for us to have a bad day. The scale of emotions that we get to feel is so vast, and we have this tendency of putting a label on these emotions when really none of these emotions are inherently good or bad. They just are.
Yeah.
They might feel good, and then some of them might not feel as good, but we will never truly appreciate the emotions that feel good without feeling the bad emotions.
So, I don't know, like, did you watch the hockey game this last week? The Stanley Cup game? No? I know you're not like a huge hockey guy, but...
I enjoy playing it. I don't enjoy watching it. I'll be the first to admit that.
It's not just hockey that this happens in, but if you ever watch pro sports in the finals, playoffs, anything like that, you watch the championship winning game, and just in that field, on that court, on that rink, you look at one end of the team that lost and one end of the team that won. They essentially had the exact same journey to get there. They had to play just as many games, they had to win just as many games in the playoffs, and they had to do that. The mass extreme difference in emotions from top to bottom just encompasses everything you were talking about.
Yeah.
But when you listen to these players talk about it, a lot of the players that end up winning have made it to the finals and lost.
Yep.
They haven't necessarily all of them, but there's a lot of them that talk about it. It's like, hey, we lost last year, and the core group of us decided we were never going to feel like that again. Right? So as much as you're talking about like a positive and a negative emotion, there's all these other factors, like sometimes they're just too old and they know they won't make it back, and that really sucks, and everyone on the planet should feel bad for them. But you have those extremes where you're not even going to appreciate the win as much if you've never lost, right? Like it's like, you know, the kid that was in school when we were younger and they won at everything.
Yeah.
And they were just a really like a sore loser.
Yeah.
Right? You can win and lose with grace. If your end goal is to develop more and move forward, then they're both positives. Like, I know we've said it before, right? You don't lose, you learn.
Yep.
Right? It's just, sports are cool because you get to call people losers, but...
Winning is always so much more fun. Yeah, it's always been an interesting topic for me, this one. And I know that I have been guilty of using justifications of how I treat other people differently, purely because I didn't get to do a specific routine. And I think what ends up happening when we, especially in the personal development world, right? There's the morning gratitude journals, there's the meditation, there's the exercise, there's the cold showers, there's the sauna treatments, there's, you know, regular massage, or, you know, regular Reiki sessions, or regular
mind meetings, mastermind meetings, all that.
Yeah, coaching sessions, and then group sessions, and then still trying to fit in the rest of your life in and around that, like whether you're in a relationship, whether or not you have, you know, core friend groups, because like I know, like I have different friends in different groups that don't kind of correlate, so I'm going to spend time with this friend group and this friend group, but not them together, so then you have to make time for that. And still somehow have time for fun, which I'm not exactly good at, and I'll be the first to admit that I'm not good at making time to have fun.
I'm probably too good at that.
Need to be able, it's that balance, right? It's that balance. And I feel like a lot of this stuff is simply, it gets to be the point where it can be just too much, where we actually do just have to take a step back and be like, all right, which one of these things is actually benefiting me, and which one of these things am I just simply doing to tell people I do it, and because I feel like society has an expectation of me to do these things because we're in the personal development world, right? Like, most people meditate.
Most people do.
And then, heaven forbid, somebody doesn't meditate. You're like, what? Like, what? What do you mean you don't meditate, right? Like, but at the same time, it's okay if you don't meditate.
I do meditative breathing in my cold shower, and it only takes 5 minutes, not 45 minutes. So, like, you kind of, I think we need to, like, with all the knowledge we have, we need to pick and choose which ones actually make sense for us, and then we need to be able to identify which ones actually make sense for, like, your average person. Because, like, your average person, like, they have the same 24 hours we do. Their number one goal, typically, on the people, on our clients and stuff like that, or like the average person, their personal development isn't like, it's not their entire lifestyle.
No.
So if we make it our entire lifestyle, then inherently we're going to have higher expectations of our clients to be dedicating more time.
Yeah.
And that's not whether we mean to or not. So I look at it as, it's not about ticking all the boxes, it's about finding the ideal thing that's going to give you the maximum amount of success so you can tick all your boxes as far as social life and fun and like mental, physical, and spiritual.
And that is the balance, right? It's a matter of finding what volume of each thing actually works for us as individuals. And, you know, one person needs more fun. This is something I need to start striving towards more fun, less serious talk and seriousness. And actually, honestly, I probably could do with less routine and less personal development.
I was gonna say, when's the last time you took inventory of everything you're doing?
Yeah.
Like, as far as like a personal development inventory.
This last week,
Yeah.
actually. This last week's been a brain mush for me.
That's what you were saying, yeah. So, and like me, I just went to Golden for 10 days and I was with the family in the mountains. I did one actual workout in 10 days, which is like way out of routine for me. Mm-hmm. And then...
Did you feel like your muscles were gonna shrink?
No, I just like kind of, we were talking about it, it's like be active, right? Like I went out and helped my dad for 8 hours in the yard or something like that. Like go do something. The whole reason I know we've talked about that before too. The whole reason we go to the gym to get in better shape is so we can do stuff outside of the gym. And if you never do anything outside.
So the main reason why I bring up that point is because I in my life, and I used to be very insecure in this regard myself, is I have a lot of people that I know who believe that if you miss a few workouts that you're actually going to shrink and lose the gains.
Psychosomatic.
Exactly, and that's an unhealthy attachment to that thing. It's been proven that no, that's actually, you're not going to lose any muscle at all. You might lose a little bit of glycogen stores if we really want to go down the rabbit hole of how,
of the science behind it, but are you using those glycogen stores for anything else?
Yeah, exactly, right? It's the fitness aspect is supposed to be a part of our lives to enrich the rest of our lives. I mean, unless you are a professional bodybuilder, powerlifter, Olympian athlete, hockey player, whatever.
Unless it's your profession. Professions require you to give up other things, but like if you're just there to get better, then it's 1 hour out of your 23, 24, should be.
Yeah. So my question to you guys is are you currently doing the practices that you think you actually need, or are you just doing them because so-and-so tells you it's a good idea to do them? Right.
And I know an example for me, last year, did a ton of reading on cold showers, so went and started doing cold showers in the morning and the evening. I no longer do them twice a day because it just doesn't fit in my day. So, but I tried a couple other things. I had one of my clients ask about intermittent fasting, and I was like, you know what? I'll do it with you for 3 months. If that's what you really want to do, I'll do the intermittent fasting strict we're only going to eat 1 until 9, and I'll do it with you for 3 months. Did it for 3 months. I got some results, but it doesn't necessarily work for everyone. But at least now, if someone's going to talk to me about it, I have that experience.
Yeah.
Right? So try it. I would almost look at, like, you know how to make a fitness program. Mm-hmm. I would look at maybe designing like a personal development block for yourself, just to think about in a frame it. Like, okay, then we're going to do A, B, and C for 4 weeks, and we're not going to do these 3.
Yep.
And then you find your perfect
balance.
Your balance and your routine.
Yeah, that is definitely something that I need to.
And you need that formal.
I am a list guy. I like to have an itinerary of things that I feel like I have to do. I am learning though that as long as I get my one thing done a day, I can rest easy at night. And those are those anxious attachment thoughts that I've been slowly over the years programming out of my brain, because I used to be really bad to the point where I would literally lose sleep if I did not get my list of things done, because I was so stressed out about getting things done. Because my brain categorizes every single file the same, whether or not it's sweeping the floor, whether or not it is fixing something on a vehicle, or it is going on a trip. It's all the same size. It's all the same
Hierarchy of the needs.
Yeah, it's all the same tab. So I would go through my list and try and tick off all of the most simple things to make myself feel like I was productive. But then I'd still go to bed and be like, I didn't get that one thing done, that big thing, because I created busy work for myself.
Yeah.
And did all of this other stuff, and I worked it up. And then I've learned that a lot of those really big things that we need to do, we make them bigger in our head than they actually are. If we just literally sit down and do it, it's so much simpler. But I am a obsessive, so I'll be the first to admit that I do this, and hence why having this conversation. But I need to back off a little bit on that stuff, because I was horrible for doing things because I thought society had an expectation of me to do them.
And we've talked about right? So just the realization of that, then we're flying. And it's funny with me, because I'm like, I obsess about being efficient when I'm not getting stuff done, if that makes sense. Like, I'll be like, I have all these things to do, and I'm only gonna leave the house once. When in reality, the 3 hours that I sat and waited at home before I had to leave the house to do the one thing that I actually wanted to do, and then had to try and race through the other 4, I could have just went and done them.
Procrastination.
Yeah.
At its finest.
But I only left the house once.
Only left the house once.
So that's where I start to kick myself. That's the idea. Wake up, get something done immediately, and then it starts the ball rolling. So, but it's just finding solutions to every individual problem for ourselves, and that's why we do what we do.
Yeah.
But I think that's it.
So basically, in a nutshell, is don't believe that because the people you idolize, that we idolize, because they're doing these things of personal development, that we also have to do them if they don't work for us. Because I know I hate cold showers. I'll do them. I'll do the cold dips and stuff like that, but it is not something that I want to do on a daily basis.
I don't want to either. I'll say that. The benefits, though, for me, as we've talked about with even some of my allergies and stuff, outweigh the fact that I hate doing it.
That's fair. That's fair. So yeah, is just ask yourself, is all of these things that you're doing, do you actually want to be doing them, or are you just doing them because you think that you're supposed to be doing them because so-and-so who has obtained what you're hoping to achieve does all those things? Because I guarantee, if we look around, we're gonna find somebody else that has also achieved what we want, that is doing something completely different, maybe more, but a lot more likely is less.
Find your sweet spot is like, that's the cue I would use for anybody. It's like, we gotta find your sweet spot, right?
Find what works for you, what works for us.
And that's absolutely huge, right? You can Google anything. Is it good for you? Yes. Is it bad for you? Also yes. So it's not about doing that. It's about what works best for you.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think, like we talked about, take inventory of everything you're doing, and absolutely 100% really take note on if you're giving up the opportunity to have good experiences with the people that are important to you, or other things that are important to you, or that you care about in even a hobby sense that may not be like hyper productive, but it gives you satisfaction. make sure that it's positive, but that you're not giving all that up for these practices that aren't necessarily helping.
Yeah.
I think that's it for me. That's a big one. I like that topic a lot. Actually.
Yeah. Don't use personal development as a crutch. Okay. Do what works best for you.
Yeah. And just keep moving forward.
Absolutely. But that is everything, you guys. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any topics that you want to hit us up with, please send us a message. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, email, everything will be available in the description below. Take care, everybody. Cheers.